Shout to everybody. It's Wednesday night. Where my man Rich Dollars at. Rich, where you at? Hit that request button. Shout to everybody riding with us every Wednesday night. Sean Prez, Richie Dollars, Nikki Perrin. I see you. What up?
Yo, what up?
Rich, what up, kid?
What's good?
Good money. Yo, Rich, I don't know. My earpiece ain't working. Give me a second. I got to figure this out. My lips is... I don't know what's going on.
So while Prez beautifies and gets this shit, just technical difficulties together. Yo, listen, y'all know what we do every Wednesday night. It's the Boys Club. We in the building. Please tell a friend to tell a friend. My IG is still suspended. So we're on the Sean Prez and Richie Dollars Unlimited right now. So hopefully by the weekend, we'll be back up and running. But thank y'all for tuning in. Let's get it.
Yo, Rich, can you hear me?
Huh?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what's up. For whatever reason, my earpiece is not working tonight. But we'll see. All right. You did the intro. For everybody who is just rocking with us, please go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel before we get started. We got so much content on the YouTube channel. You can also find us on your favorite podcast hosting sites, whether that's Spotify, I don't know, iTunes, Google Play Music, all of that stuff. But check it, yo, Rich. Ain't a lot going on in the world of entertainment, and we typically started out that way, but it is a lot going on in the world of entertainment at the same time. Today, a blockbuster case. Me and you, for the last 3 weeks, at least 3-4 weeks, we've been talking about Johnny Depp, Amber Heard.
Right.
Following it close because this case is so landmark. This is a man, a public figure, who came out, sued for defamation of character against his ex-wife. Yo, when we broke up, she ran down to the court. She said that I was abusing her physically. She said that I was abusing her mentally, all of these different things. But truth of the matter is, I was the abused one. I was literally in an abusive relationship. And we're living in the world of Me Too. We're living in the world of Time's Up. We're living in a world where literally an accusation alone, just a straight accusation, can end a man's life as he knows it. Doesn't have to be any facts behind it. All it needs to be is an accusation, and depending on who you are, more and more women can see an opportunity to score a quick check, pile on, and everything you work for is done overnight. It's done. But today, the ruling came in, and I say it's landmark because it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen for celebrities, and it damn sure don't happen for the average man, where you go to a court, if a woman takes out, what is that, a TRO, a temporary restraining order? Mm-hmm. She can have no evidence. None. But a judge is always, the courts, lawyers, the court of public opinion, they're always going to side with a woman. Almost 99.9% of the time, they're going to side with a woman. Yo, this is a big man. If she says she felt threatened, if she says she was hit, it had to have happened. No marks, no witnesses, nobody present. But she wrote out a statement, temporary restraining order granted. Now, because it was granted, that is the blue chip. That is the leverage piece that these women need to clean you out, especially if they were married to you. Look, I was in an abusive relationship. I have documentation now. Now give me the bag. What do you think about today's ruling just overall? And then we're going to get into specifics But this marks the He Too movement. Like literally, it's He Too because it was such a big freaking case. And finally, a man, he got a fair shake.
Okay. One, Johnny Depp. What we said last week 100% applies this week. First, I'll start by saying we as men today in this situation can all live through Johnny Depp, right? We can live vicariously through him. He lost.
Are you saying we as men or society?
We as men.
Okay.
So we as men can live through Johnny Depp today, understanding that because he lost in the UK.
Yes, he did.
He lost in the UK and had enough balls. But the thing about this whole situation is that when you push somebody to the limit, he had already, based on the UK thing, he had already lost Pirates. He had already lost a bunch of business. He had already lost a bunch of movies. He already lost a shitload of money. You push that man to the point of no return, he's going to fight back. You put a cat in the corner, he's going to fight his way out. What he did was he brought her ass back to the States and put her on trial and put her lies on trial and put her false narrative on trial. And every time he brought a witness or every time his lawyer, and I ended up, after we kept speaking about it over and over again, I started watching this shit on C-SPAN.
Mm-hmm.
His lawyers were catching her so ridiculously disrespectful, like clearly saying one thing 5 minutes ago and changing it, and and then but Miss Heard, this is what you just said. Well, I kind of forgot. What do you mean? Like, my point to all this is that, first of all, we're gonna live vicariously through Johnny Depp. Second of all, I don't know that everybody has the resources that Johnny Depp has to fight. Everybody doesn't have millions of dollars. He just won 13 million. He won 13 million and 2 million and then had to give her 2 million. So I think he netted 15 million today.
No.
That, right?
He won 15. She won 2 because she countersued.
Right.
So he netted 13.
So he netted 13. Point I'm trying to make is everybody don't got that kind of money to play around with. So as long as that's still going on, like people get mad at me every week, and not to change the subject, but the Deshaun Watson shit, people get mad every week. And I say the same thing. People will use their power for bad. Not everybody always uses their power for good, bro. Heard used her power for bad. She created that narrative. Tried to destroy, kind of did destroy that man for a while. Now let's see how this all plays out now, because quite frankly, the trial was so damaging that I don't know that some of that shit you can come back from anyway. Whether you were guilty or innocent, once that shit is in the court of public opinion and people know exactly who you are, I don't know that you can always come back from that. Let's see. It was a huge day for men. It was a huge day for people who want to fight back and take back their narrative. It's a huge day for people who were pushed in the corner and had no alternative but to come back out fighting. And you know what? Congratulations to him, man. You know, I just hate that this doesn't really change for the normal Joe who don't have the resources that Johnny Depp has. Like, there's still a bunch of people out there who are using their power for bad and not for good, and creating these narratives. And the narratives are not always, you know, there's always this. I mean, not to say that they're always wrong, because a lot of times this stuff happens. But like you said, the woman, and I'll tell you what happened, why women get that. I don't know if you remember that incident in Connecticut years ago, where that woman kept going to the police station and saying that her husband was abusing her. It was and her husband was a cop in that town, little small town in Connecticut. He ended up killing her. He ended up killing that woman after she had gone to the police station on multiple occasions and basically said, yo, he's putting his hands on me. Y'all gotta help me. Y'all gotta help me. Nobody helped her. That woman's family turned around and sued that motherfucker. They own that town right now. And after that happened, they made a Lifetime movie about it and all the crazy stuff. So we're not sitting here saying that this doesn't happen and women are not going to, are not going through these things that they say they're going through, because it's absolutely. And there are reasons why you have to take the precaution to believe the woman, because if a woman comes up missing and you had the opportunity to help her, then you were absolutely wrong for not taking it seriously. But at the same token, we've been saying this all along, Sean. Once that's out there and the world knows how to move forward, they will take advantage of a situation and make it on and create a narrative on their behalf. And if you don't have the access or the resources that Johnny Depp has, you will still be fucked up in this system, because there really is nothing you can do. And the system is built to destroy the man every single time. Every single time. You go to human resources, like we can go through the whole gamut of everything in life. You go to human resources. He says something to me. What they do? Richie, go home until we figure it out. Go to human resources. He touched me. He walked by me. He was too close. The walkway was, he rubbed up against me. I felt dick on my ass. Richie, go home till we figure it out. So my baby daddy, he doing this, he doing that. Go in jail until we figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Like, he just was to the point where they took his career, they took everything from him, and he was like, man, fuck this. I'm fighting back today. And he fought back and he won. And this was a huge day for men. It's a huge day for men.
Okay. You're right, and you're right. But I want to add something to it. Yes, this was a huge day for men. It was. There's no denying you being a man, me being a man, understanding what it's like to be a man in 2022, and how you have to be so aware and conscious of everything. How you greet a woman. If you hug her, how tight can I hug? If I stare at her, how long is a look versus now it's creepy? It's so weird, the line that men walk in 2022 as pertains to women, because we're all aware of these high-profile cases. The thing I'll add to what you said, I believe it's a huge day for women as well. And here's what I mean. There are a lot of women out there who are really being abused, who are really, living in fear of their life, who are really trying to get out of a situation and don't know how to, don't know where to go for help. I want to help him, but I know I need to leave. And then there are these people, the Amber Heards of the world, who use, to use her words, I always knew I was going to lose because it's the Johnny Depp show and he's bigger, he's stronger. They have her on tape laughing at this man, literally on tape, long before any of this, saying, do you think anybody would believe you're being abused? Do you think anybody would ever believe you as a man could be in an abusive relationship? These are her words, her words. So you're absolutely right. It is a huge day for men, but it's also a huge day for women who are really in those situations. And because you have women who know that they can use this tactic at their disposal, they take away from the women who are really suffering and going through it. They use this more as leverage than as an escape or a last option. And I think that they have really trivialized what being abused is, what being in an abusive relationship really is. And men have been on the brunt of that. So
Right.
you never know, Rich, and you know I'm a spiritual dude. You don't never know how God is going to use you, right? And even as I'm listening to you talk, Johnny Depp, we all know him. Any of us on this live who's old enough to remember, we know Johnny Depp, 21 Jump Street. The newer generation know him as Captain Jack Sparrow, Pirates of the Caribbean, Edward Scissorhands, all of those blockbusters, right? But you to speak directly what you said earlier, he did have the money to fight back. But there are a lot of men who have the money to fight back. They do. But they didn't want, he was willing to risk showing every part of him. I'm an addict. I suffer with alcohol and drug addiction. I am not that person you see on the screen. I am a flawed man. But what I'm not is abusive. What I am not is someone who had this woman living in fear. Actually, it was just the opposite. So he was ready. He wasn't fighting for money. He was fighting for his name. He was fighting for the fact that you've taken everything from me. The only thing that I could possibly get out of this is my good name back. And in doing so, God used him maybe. You know what? Now you're hope for that guy who doesn't have money. Now you're that hope for a guy who's not a celebrity. Now you're that hope for a guy who is literally being served divorce papers. And right along with it is a temporary restraining order because the lawyers know this is what's going to give my client, this woman, her leverage so that I can get everything that this man is worth. So the fact that he put it all on the line, there may be a greater play here for average Joe man to just have some hope, because prior to this, and me and you speak about it all the time, the hope ain't there. Men, that's why I say, and I don't mean this in any disrespect, because every case is different. Every case is different. And me and you have talked about this on some of our past podcasts. But whenever you see a woman who has lost her kids in court, like literally has gone to court, and the judge has awarded them to the father, you know that woman is damn near a sociopath, serial killer, crackhead, streetwalker. You know there is something so seriously devastating wrong, because the courts will, that's just the way men feel. It doesn't matter that I work, that I don't drink, I don't smoke, I have been in my kid's life since birth. Why does she automatically get custody? And it has just been like that almost since the beginning of time. So hopefully this at least lets men who are in this situation know that there's some hope. And for the judges out there and the lawyers, lets them know it's okay. And the jurors, it's okay to base these cases on the merit and not that he is the physically bigger, stronger sex. And because of that, I'm going to award everything to her. I'm going to give the kids to her just because she's the woman, she's the mother. So I think
I'm looking at Moniece. Moniece is in the comments and let's just say enthusiastically disagreeing. Moniece, if you have
she never agrees with me. Moniece, what up? Like every week I got Moniece not agreeing with nothing I say. No, what's she saying now?
She's just saying she was in this position before. She said she was in this position before, and that's not how it worked out for her. No. That's the last comment I read was no. But Moniece, if you have, I mean, you on Sean's live, go ahead, put a request in if you would like a request.
Yeah, feel free, Moniece, jump on in here.
We can make a discussion of it. We can make a discussion of it. She sent the request. She said she sent the request. Sean
Yes.
said she
Hold
sent
on.
it.
Let's check. I would love to hear from her. Is she a mother?
Of course. Young Cameron.
Okay.
Here she is.
Yo.
What's up,
Monique, what up?
Hey, so I don't have a lot of time. Lucky you. I can't be long-winded. First and foremost, hi, Sean.
What up? What up?
Hi, Richie.
What's up, Momo?
So to address what you just said, I'm going to go in order. 3 things so that we know.
Are we
'cause
talking to Rich or me? Are you dressing Rich or me?
No, but I'm just saying in general, y'all know I'm long-winded, but I really only have like 15 minutes. So the first thing I'm going to address is what you just said about child custody. Second, I'm going to address the win for women. And third, I'm going to address what you said about the win for men. So first, the child custody, you said that, you know, in most cases, the court will award the mom full custody based off of allegations without any real merit. Now, as a current law student, and as someone who was in that situation, I'm going to talk about that first because I was not a sociopath. I didn't smoke. I didn't drink. I didn't do drugs. I was not abusive to my child, and my child was illegally removed from my custody based off of hearsay from a family member who I lived with at the time. And prior to that, I had actually been granted temporary physical custody of my child until his father returned from out of the country. And he was the petitioner. I was the respondent. So I was in court with the child in tow until his retainer ran out. So with that being said, it didn't take. And when we were every state has different state ordinances. So every state, what I'm learning is, does things differently, right? So there are family law cases, criminal cases, civil cases. Defamation is a civil case. If you were in a love relationship in the state of California, whether you were married to your partner or not, that is what we call DV, domestic. Anyone can walk into a court because exactly what Rich, you were talking about the woman in Colorado, cases like that change the game generally across all 50 states for DV cases. So now anyone can walk into a court of law and say he or she did this, and they're immediately granted a temporary. Now, when you go to court, once you do that, there's a court date set 2 weeks out from that date of service in all 50 states in DV cases or family law cases where there's a minor in question. And you are to meet what the court refers to as an overwhelming burden of proof. So to tie that into the child custody, right? You heard the judge today say that he went to the UK or not the judge, I'm sorry, news broadcasters and commentators said that Johnny Depp lost the case in the UK because the cap for the overwhelming burden of proof is much higher there than it is here. And the court refers to the burden of proof as the hardest thing to meet. And they announce that at the beginning of any case, be that civil, family law, criminal, or DV, right? I was none of those things. Someone said that I hit my son with an open hand when he does not eat the way I want him to eat. He didn't have teeth. He didn't have a scratch on his body. He was one of the happiest babies. And I didn't even know that custody had been taken from me until no one was answering my phone calls. I didn't know what time my son was coming home. And the system is not really set up as you say, at least in the state of California. You don't have to be a sociopath.
Okay, but here's my question for you.
Hold on, Rich.
Go ahead. Because I gotta ask these questions because she'll talk and I won't remember.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
As you're talking about this, I feel like I know, because you said a family member. Does that have something to do with it, the level of closeness that the person was to you that spoke against you in court? Did that have something to do with how that court case went, as opposed to you just battling the baby daddy, right?
And that's where
it was Marla, does that mean something more?
Yes, and that's what I was getting to. I just didn't want to say her name, but
Okay.
she actually, and the crazy part is to touch on what Rich just said, which is where I was actually going to land my plane for this particular portion of the conversation. The closeness of the individual making the allegations is what gave it validity, because in the state of California, what happens is first your case is tried in family law court. If you cannot reach a resolution, you are sent to children's court in Monterey Park, where then the minor in question is appointed a public defender. Mom nor dad can hire counsel for the minor. It has to be a non-biased party barred in family law in the state of California. That individual that made those allegations against me, Rich, as you know, never showed up to a single court date once we were transferred to children's court. She never had to show up to testify. She never had to against me. She never had to show up to testify on my behalf or my son's behalf. She just got to say what it was, and because I lived in the home, that was it.
Wow.
It was determined that that person, as the person that birthed me, right? And this is what Rich and I privately discuss all the time. Jewel is his best friend. And he says that openly, which means in the eyes of the law, this man has said to us, this woman is his best friend. She has to know him better than anyone else. So automatically we can take what she said, because what he says will be used against him in a court of law. He himself said his mother is his best friend. So if his mother says, my son has the propensity to be abusive, a murderer, I could see how he became an addict. I could see how he embezzled the money. I could see how he did this. I could see how he would be charged for child endangerment. We ask no questions, remove the children from the home. And like he said about the HR, Richie, go home till we figure it out. Sit in the slammer till we figure it out. And I don't feel that that's fair for men, but at the same time, I don't feel that's fair for either gender. And as someone who's been through that, when you said for a woman to lose custody, you got to be a sociopath, a streetwalker, a this, a that, because that doesn't usually happen. That would be the normal thought, right? So I see why you would say that, but I wasn't any of those things.
Your case, okay, just with respect to your time, do you want me to go, or do you want to hit your other 2 points first?
Go ahead.
Your case is very, very different than what Richie and I'm talking about. Let's start there. And before I even get started, congratulations on being a law student. That's super dope. I really do. But we're not comparing apples to apples here. This is apple
But
to
you made a
hamburger.
general statement.
What'd you say?
But you made a general statement.
I'm making a general statement when a man and a woman go to court who are co-parents of a child. That is very different than a third party, especially someone as close to you who is coming in and saying, this is what's happening in that home. That's very different. When a man and a woman who are co-parents to a child go into a court, 99% of the time, and it's factual, more time than not, the court is going to give primary custody to the woman and give visitation to the man. And that's what we're saying here. That's why whenever you see a woman who has lost her children, when she's just going with a straight up fight against the baby father, you know something real is going on there. They have some factual information that would make them say the mother is a danger to herself or to the child in question. We have tangible evidence that cannot be refuted, that now to safeguard what could happen to this child, we're going to remove, or we're going to give them to the father. Men, 99% of the time, I don't care if you've been with your child, you were in a delivery room, You were parent of the year, went to every game, sat there after school, did their homework with him, this, that, and the third. If that woman goes to court, she got that kid. And you got visitation and child support. That's facts.
That is usually the case. And there are some scenarios like mine, like you said,
Yep.
it's not comparing apples to oranges. I was just one of the rarities. I was one of the, this doesn't usually happen. And as a result, there's no statute of limitations. I am filing a civil suit against Department of Children and Family Services for wrongfully and illegally taking my child from me. So we'll close that out. Now, to address what you said about the win for men. Now, Rich knows I recently went through a court case.
Said that, by the way.
Right. I'm just saying I'm addressing the things between the two of you that I've done.
Okay.
And so Rich knows that I recently went through a court case with an ex of mine, a man.
You're showing
And
snitching. You're showing snitching. Rich said that.
And it was very interesting. And it was interesting because I lost, and I didn't lose because he was telling the truth. I lost because I couldn't control my temper. And I went off on the judge, and the judge got me on a tiny technicality that she was otherwise overlooking. And my attorneys were saying to me throughout the day in court, be quiet, stop it, stop it. She wants you to win. She wants you to win. And I'm like, she doesn't want me to fucking win. Now, what we saw from, what's her name, Camille, Depp's lawyer, right?
Mm-hmm.
We saw her, if you go to this page called Law and Crime, they put together a compilation of her objection.
Yeah.
And this is what I was mad, and this is what actually cost me my case, no fucking lie. I looked at my attorneys and said, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why aren't you objecting? Said back to me, well, what do you want us to ask on cross? And I said, this has to be a fucking joke. If I have 100 questions on the tip of my tongue, why don't you have one? Why are you asking me what you should? First of all, he is the petitioner, just like Johnny Depp. My ex was the petitioner. I was the respondent. It's on the petitioner to meet the overwhelming burden of proof. And the judge, it went like this. Me saying to my attorneys, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why aren't you objecting? My attorney then saying to me, we lost Sean. Am I the only one that lost Sean?
Yeah, I'm here.
I lost him too.
Okay. I'm looking at my attorney and I say, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why aren't you objecting? She says, oh, now we lost Rich.
Rich, where you at?
Okay, now Rich is back. I look at my attorney and I say, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why aren't you objecting? My attorney says back to me, what do you want us to ask on cross? I say, if I have 100 questions on the tip of my tongue, how the fuck don't you have one? The judge looks at me and says, Ms. Slaughter, we're not taking testimony from you right now. And I went off. What we saw Camilla do is a ancient old defluster technique, whatever descriptive you want to assign it, but it's ingenious and it's bound to work every time. Objection, 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 hearsay, objection, cause for leading, objection, hearsay. And the judge and Amber's attorney got so flustered, she said, Your Honor, I'm trying, right? And so we don't always have to be in court. And so right before I could feel myself come undone, I said, do I have to sit here for this shit? And I'm talking at these decibels so the judge can hear me. I'm so fed up at this point. And one of my attorneys says, no, you don't have to be here, go. And the other attorney says, tell her to sit down. And I said, this is going to end badly. The man sat there and played with my fucking freedom on a real level. He created an entire assault on an invisible person that never, ever happened. Said I followed a girl to the restroom and attempted to assault her. This woman doesn't exist. I never used the restroom. I am a professional fucking partier. I get paid to do it. I don't like to go to the bathroom when I am in a club. And you mean to tell me, as someone who's known for whooping ass, I went to the bathroom to fight this bitch and no one got it on tape? Flat out lie, and that is such a dangerous individual to me. The fact that as emotionally reactive as I could be, I couldn't even think on my toes that quickly to just conjure up a scenario. And so the final thing that the judge said to me before kicking me out of the courtroom and locking the door literally was, if you wanted the burden of proof to be on you, you should have filed your own order. And at that point, it was fuck you, suck my dick, fuck her, fuck him, fuck her, and that little dingy Mr. Clean car salesman of an attorney that y'all been letting talk for 2 fucking hours, and they gave me the boot. Both bailiffs for little old me, 5'2", escorted me out, locked the door. And that's what I just saw Amber Heard do. And I was very triggered when I found out that the rape story was actually her friend's rape story. And when you factor in mental illness, and this is why I was glued to this trial, you will hear my mother, you can go to my mother's page right now and hear her say, I'm bipolar and BPD. BPD is borderline personality disorder, which is what Amber Heard was officially diagnosed with. And what they do is adopt personalities, life experiences, traumas of other people. What they struggle with is the ability to be stable. And when you look at a person like me, I've been in my home for 5 years. I could say my baby daddy's moved around however many times, but I'm not going to do that. So should I take him to court and say to a judge, he's moved X amount of times, that ain't stable, that's BPD? No. But could I and win a judgment? Yes. And that's fucked up. That's fucked up. You're playing with somebody's life. That man sat in that courtroom and played with my freedom, played off of the fact that I am reactive, conjured up a story based off of my public portrayal. And when the judgment was handed down, the judge said, Mr. So-and-so, you have failed to meet your burden of proof as it pertains to the allegations brought against the respondent, Ms. Slaughter. So for that, the court cannot grant you a restraining order. But we have admission of cellular contact from the respondent, Ms. Slaughter, to you, the petitioner, Mr. So-and-so. Now, that cellular communication she's talking about, I woke up to my son's birthday party flyer being posted on the internet that had my home address and a bitch I'd never met threatening to crash my son's party that was at my home. So yes, I unblocked him not knowing that this was his second restraining order. He filed the first one, didn't show up, and filed the second one. On the 6th, I woke up to my address being posted on the internet on the 7th, not knowing the second order had been filed on the 6th, asked him to have my shit removed from the internet, and got served on the I found out that the order that was filed on the 6th, I found out by TMZ on the 10th. I was served on the 12th. Normally a judge would not get you on that tiny technicality, and she would not had I not disrespected her and her courtroom. But I lost my cool, and easily his attorney goes, see, Your Honor, this is exactly what we're talking about. There goes the personality. Was I justified? Yes. Did he play with my freedom? Yes. Had I kept my cool and just either left or been absolutely fucking quiet, would it have been dismissed? Because he was the petitioner and I was not? Absolutely.
But that's
now I gotta go.
The scary part. To me, that's the scary part about this whole scenario, is that people can be so manipulative and use your triggers against you when the court system is supposed to be helping you. They are now going against you and basically rewarding the other person for playing dirt. That's always
And
that's
I
a
felt
fucked up. That's a
so,
fucked up and a scary proposition, bro.
and I felt so unprotected. I was in tears. They had to bring me the judgment in the parking lot because when I say I went off, once they kicked me out the courtroom, I was losing it in the hallway. They kicked me out the courthouse all to fucking together. And this was somebody that I had text messages of me saying, please stop popping up at my house. My cousins wrote in affidavits against my mother, who was actually there to testify against me. My cousins had DMs and text messages from him saying, please leave her alone. You keep saying she wants to be with you. She doesn't want to be with you. This is not like all the other breakups. Stop going there. Stop popping up at her home. I felt so unprotected, and it made me really feel for Johnny Depp. It really made me feel for him because I know what that fucking feels like, and I was actually rooting for him. Now, here's the thing that tore me. As a current law student, as a person who could see both perspectives, as a person who's been wrongfully pegged with the same diagnosis as Amber Heard, I was looking at this case from both a personal and a logical and a legal perspective, and then I had to remove the emotion. And what struck me was the only time I believed her was when she was telling the rape story. And that was the first time Johnny could not look at her. And if you go on Law and Crime on Instagram and you watch that video of that particular testimony, you will see that that was the first time. Not only could he not look at her on the stand, he dropped his head and he almost cried.
Well,
And he had to start doodling. And it was then that I went, even if she's lying, there is some truth. When you listen to the audio of him waking up before her, getting drunk, smashing cabinets, smashing glasses, smashing bottles, and she comes in and she says, you can hear her and she says, what happened? And he doesn't say anything. And then she says, did you drink all of this morning? His response is, did anything happen to you? And she says, well, no, I just woke up and we're not even fighting this morning. What's going on? What happened? And now you hear bang, 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 crash, crash, crash. That was the second time that I went, okay, she might be embellishing here and there, but this is going to be the metaphorical nail in her legal coffin. Because had you not adopted someone else's rape story and you had just those two things, the judge would have ruled in her favor, and I can guarantee you that from a legal perspective. Had she not been caught lying about the rape story, regardless of who did or did not show up to testify on her behalf as a character witness, those two things, whether he was being completely truthful or not, would have completely done him in.
okay. You mind if I jump? Do I have an echo? When Rick was talking, he had an echo.
No, you're good. Give it to me.
Okay. First, I empathize with your story, your personal story. But I want to go to this Johnny Depp thing.
Is it? Hold on. Is it?
That's you, Rich.
Yeah, I'm gonna log off and come back in. Y'all go ahead. Prez, sign me back.
No, Rich, you don't have an echo.
Rich has a major echo.
Oh, he does? I don't hear an echo.
I hear Sean's echo too.
I hear Sean's echo. I don't hear your echo, though. You know what it is, Rich? Mute your mic. Mute your mic until you're talking, and I'll mute mine.
How do you
Sean,
do that?
tell us when to talk back in.
Okay, test 1, 2. Anybody hear echo? Okay, good. Okay, so Moniece, to you, Johnny never looked at her in his trial ever. Ever, not even once. He actually this was a big thing in his trial, and if you go and you watch some of the clips, one of the things that Johnny told her when they broke up is, you will never see my eyes again. He never once looked at her, even once when she was on the stand. He never looked at her when she walked in the courtroom. He never looked at her. For him, her never seeing his eyes was his way of saying you don't exist. And this has been going on for the last 6 years. So he didn't just not look at her when she told that story. He never looked at her. He always kept his head looking down. So that's number one. But number two, and why I said this wasn't just a win for men, it was a win for women, but women who are really going through stuff. Women who are really trapped in abusive relationships and don't know how to get out. This woman, I don't think she had a chance in hell in winning. And the reason I don't is because it wasn't just one fantastical lie that she got caught in. Let's just start with, she took a dump in the man's bed. Like that's just some crazy. Who squats over your husband's side of the bed and just takes a dump? I don't even know if she wiped herself, but that's beyond the point. But they have her literally on tape again and again and again apologizing for hitting him. Him saying to her, don't tell me what it feels like to get punched. Like you clocked me in my jaw. You did this to me. Not one time on any of the tapes did she say, you hit me. You actually physically struck me. She said, you tried to close the door and it hit my foot, and that's why I punched you in the face. She said, you pushed me. She said, you leave this house and I can't get in touch with you. You run to one of your 15 homes anytime we have arguments. But she never once, even on hidden tapes, when she was able to be her truest self, said you struck me, you hit me, you did anything remotely damaging to me. It was always the other way around. So I think she lost this case. Because unlike with most people, he actually had evidence, real-time evidence.
Well, wait.
Go ahead.
He didn't have evidence. She had evidence that just ended up working against her.
Correct.
And I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying,
Yep.
had that not happened, he would have lost, and that's unfair.
Yep.
Had she not been caught up in all of the other lies, that evidence would have worked in her favor. That audio of him smashing stuff and him admitting nothing happened to you, nothing happened between us. You're right, we're not fighting. I woke up in a bender. Now, here's the other thing. When you say he never looked at her, he did look her dead square in her face during the rape testimony, and he didn't look down, right? He turned his chair to the side, and the male attorney is who he ended up facing, right? And he did like this, and he got choked up, he swelled up, and then he just put his fist over his mouth like this, but he started off watching her, and that spoke volumes to me. I'll because I'm gonna send you, I'll DM you the video. Okay. But that particular portion of her testimony was the first and only time I went, okay, even if she's lying about this, there's a particular validity to some of what she's saying. I'm not saying, and then when you look at him sitting on the stand during cross-examination, and he says to her attorneys, were you there? Now, had that been me, you were rich, remove me. Had that been you were rich as a black man sitting in a courtroom, knowing what I know now, the judge, you go a long way when the judge feels like you respect him or her and their courtroom and their jurors and their court recorder who has to type every fucking thing. Had you or Rich sat on that stand in a defamation or a DV case and said during cross-examination, were you there? You would have been considered unruly, disrespectful, narcissistic, sarcastic, And you would have been told you had no regard for the severity of the allegations brought against you, nor do you have any regard for the judge, the jurors, the court recorder, or this legal system. That would have actually counted as a strike against you. The jurors would have taken that into account. Oh, well, he's just, yeah, I could see how he would gaslight her. So there is a part of me that does feel like part of what she's saying when she says he's the bigger star, he's the bigger voice, he's the bigger bank account, he's the bigger charmer. I saw glimpses of that throughout the case that made me go, yeah, as a law student and as just someone who is emotionally reactive, that would irritate me if I were Amber. Well, were you there? No, nigga. I wasn't there, but I know what the fuck the allegations are, and based off of this motherfucking response, I can see how you would taunt her. But just like I think it was Rich said, he pushed her, she pushed him. Because when you factor in the testimonies, Kate Moss, the ex-wife whom he's got children with, there's not been a woman before her, there's not been a woman since her that's come forward to say I was verbally, mentally, or physically abused by this man. And then when you have no one show up, Amber, to testify on your behalf as a character witness, that also is going to drown out any reasonable doubt that we had that he is who you say he is. You've burned every bridge. And so as I started to study the facts, the public facts of this case, I'm glad she fucking lost. And I hope that men who are actually abused start speaking up.
So do I.
100%. 100%. And lastly, I feel like, we hear the word abuse, and I'm in trauma therapy, and then I'm going to mute my mic because I want to hear what Rich is going to have to say about this.
Hold on. Rich, log off and log back.
Why? He's muted. He's still muted.
Damn, didn't make that.
That's you. You gotta mute your thing when we talk.
Okay.
So after this, I want you and Rich to unmute, and I'll give you a thumbs up. We hear the word abuse. I'm learning in trauma therapy now, right? We hear the word abuse and we think bloody, battered, bruised, hospitalized. That is not always the case. Abuse is speaking negatively or defamatory to someone. You're never going to be shit. You're not shit. Look at you, you whore. Or look at you, you deadbeat dad. That's abusive. Not showing up for someone. And then gaslighting them. See, now in this generation, everybody's learning. They're not learning. They're hearing the term gaslighting and they're misusing it. Gaslighting is, I have narcissistic personality disorder, so I know what to say to get under your skin to make you react in such a way that's going to serve the agenda that I am pushing about you to other people. This is going to be my taunting, my poking of you when no one can see, when no one can hear, but the reaction, I know your reaction is going to be 50 times louder than this poker that I'm going to stick in your side right now when no one else can see and hear. The fact that no one else can see or hear that, that's what makes it gaslighting. Stonewalling is, once I've gaslit you and you've publicly reacted on any level, I stay quiet. I don't respond. Now, when you reach out to me, right? And this is about, I'm going to show you how this correlates to Johnny and Amber. Now, when you reach out to me, I can do one of two things: completely ignore you, which is also stonewalling, or I can get you in the same room, whether I know, Johnny, I'm being recorded or not, Amber. And my responses after I've poked you, face to face with you, are going to be such that I further irritate you. It's like when somebody's like, Sean, and you like, all right. So you're not going to say nothing? What you want me to say? You know that that's going to piss her off. That's gaslighting. That's also stonewalling, right? And so when she comes to San Francisco after she has filed the TRO. And she's recording and she's in his hotel room and she's saying, I just want to fix things. No, you this and no, you that. Do you love me? Do you love me? And he says, of course I love you. And she goes, well, don't you want to fix things? And he says, yeah, but I'll still never be with you. And she says, well, will you lay with me? Just hold me. I just want to just hold me. Psycho, completely sociopathic on her part. Completely gaslighting on his part, whether we want to admit that or not. Their relationship was a two-way abusive street. And I feel like because he's Johnny Depp, he gaslit, but everybody's interest is in the bigger star. We're not separating you two while you're in the Bahamas, which we heard the property managers talk about separating them in the Bahamas, taking Johnny to a cafe where he fell asleep. And the property manager taking her back to the house where she was mad and slamming doors. And she asked the property manager, have you ever been so upset with someone you just lost it on him? And he can't really relate. He's like, no, I don't know what you mean. You know, that is a two-way abusive street. So I do believe in certain ways he was abusive. They just weren't physical. And so when you hear the word abuse, you think he beat her up. She beat him up. Abuse is also emotional. It's also mental. It's also verbal. And it is also spiritual. And so I'm very interested to hear what both of your takes on that are, because I feel like he was abusive. The gaslighting, the stonewalling. I'm going to let you get into the hotel in San Francisco, and I'm going to say, yeah, I love you. Yeah, I wish this could work, but I'll still never be with you. That is abusive, because why even let her come in the first place? You know that she got a sick codependency for you, and you're playing off of that. So you let her come, not knowing. Now, what if she hadn't been secretly recording? And she had reacted. No one would have known he was poking the bear. We only would have known about her reaction. Unfortunately for him, what he didn't know was he was being audibly recorded. That ended up only working against him because she lied about other things. So I'm going to mute and y'all chime in on that. I'm muted.
Go ahead, Rich.
So my comment to that is this. In relationships, you learn one another. It's the art of war. It's the art of war. I've learned you. I know what pushes your buttons. I know what sets you off. I know what does this. So now it gets to the point where over time, we've been in this relationship so long that it's abusive on both ends. And there's no way that anybody can say that the level of craziness that this relationship was for either one of them, that it wasn't two-way abusive. I think what you've been saying this whole time, Amber tried to create a narrative. Instead of just running with the facts, saying what was happening, she tried to embellish. She wanted it to be so like dead to right that she put herself in positions to where now we can't believe the truth. So you, at some point, you become the girl who cried wolf. How many lies are we going to catch you on? How many situations, how many times are we going to look at this? And now you allow him to get away with some shit because you've totally lost the credibility, and you put yourself in that position because you felt you wanted to be so hyperbolic in the situation that you wouldn't allow it to just be truthful. You needed the hyperbole. You needed the bells and whistles. You needed the whole big thing. And then once you do that and you go down that road, if it's in this case where everything is one after another and everything is documented and everybody's remembering, now all we're going to do for the rest of this time is go back to what you lied about. So now it becomes, do we even care what you're telling the truth about? Because now all we're going to do is rebut the shit that you're saying with the shit that we already caught you on. Which means that the fact of the matter is that he's going to get away with some shit that he did that wasn't, at the time, you didn't deem it important enough to rest on that. You had to make it bigger, and you got fucked off. And now in the bigger scheme of things, nobody believes you anymore. So now, yes, he was abusive. Yes, he was mentally abusive. Yes, he was verbally abusive. Yes, he gaslit. Yes, he stonewalled. He knew all those things. But what he also knew was that he, as damaged and probably out of control as he was, she was more. She was more. And as time went on, he understood that. So doing the things that he did, vindictive, petty, whatever you want to call it, whatever the kids call it today, he just wanted his get back. And he knew how to get her. And he lured her into these positions, and he lured her into them places, and that bitch lost her mind. Without hesitation, she did not disappoint. She lost her mind in every single situation. And what happened over across the water didn't happen here. What happened across the pond didn't happen here. So the whole thing about the celebrity status, and he's a bigger celebrity than me, and his bank account is bigger than me, and all of that, yada, 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 yada. I'm smarter than you. And I'm going to let you sit here for the next, I don't know, 45 days or whatever that case was. And I'm going to let you bury yourself. And as time goes on.
And did you see the video of her where she put the pen to the pad and the pen never touched the pad, but she was moving? She had strokes as if she was writing, and the pen never touched the pad. That's when I said, this bitch is insane. Is insane. You are sitting in a court of law and you know you're on camera and you just put the pen above the pad and you made strokes like you were writing and there's no ink on the pad. I said, this is fucking crazy to me. That alone right there to corroborate what you're saying made me feel like, yo, everything this bitch said was a lie. Because what's the reason? What's the reason you fake writing in court? That was crazy to me. And what I know is if you're genuinely mentally ill, you learn to manipulate the system. There are 5 questions they ask you when you are committed. What's your name? What year is it? What's your birth date? Are you suicidal? And who's the president? If you can answer all 5, you are not deemed a threat to yourself or others, nor are you deemed a suicidal. Therefore, you are deemed competent and you are put back out on the fucking street. And they keep it calm and they keep it cool and they keep it collected. Because I saw a lot of comments of people saying, well, she's borderline personality disorder. She would have lost it by now. No, baby. She went up there and she cried. And she put on what Camilla said was the best performance of her life. And she put that pen that invisibly to the paper. And when I saw that, I said, oh no, that's not normal. That's not right. So now even the little glimmer of what I thought was truthfulness coming from her, oh girl, you're insane. I'm muting my mic. Go ahead, Sean. But that threw me. That sent me.
Nah, I mean, here's what Johnny knew, and I hear both of y'all. He knew his wife. He knew, I am with a compulsive liar. I am with a borderline psycho. He didn't have the medical expertise to properly label her, but like you said at the top of this, Rich, he knew who he was with. And if he didn't know anything else, he knew she's a compulsive liar. Because what I got from watching that case is, my God, does she tell the truth about anything? And she's such a, and this is why I keep using the word sociopath, because it didn't matter what she was confronted with. She never admitted to one thing. She always had an excuse. It was always the other person. Everybody came up on that stand and perjured but her. No one person who said anything contradictory to what she said was telling the truth. They committed perjury, not me. I am literally on tape admitting that I hit this man. I literally said, this happened in Australia, this happened here, this happened there. And people who own the resorts, that didn't happen. The place wasn't trashed. TMZ came on, for God's sakes, and said, we showed up at the courthouse because we were tipped off. We were told what side of her face would be bruised. We let our cameraman know where she would be and to take a picture. I never did that. But who the hell else did it? They actually own the recording of Johnny beating up the cabinets. The man from TMZ, their attorney said, we own it, which means, and the only way we can own it is if we got it from the source.
Did you know that yesterday, during deliberations, they aired a video, which I'll also send to you, Rich, TMZ. They went back to 2016 or 17, and they aired while they were outside of the courthouse yesterday, talking about the deliberations. They aired this video from TMZ where she set up the phone in a cafe that they were in, and Johnny was drunk. He smashed 2 glasses, swiped some pastries, walked back over to her, not knowing the camera is set up, pours himself a full glass of wine. She was the only one in possession of the tape, yet TMZ was able to air it. So who did they get it from? Lastly, and third, they asked her, was he physically abusing her? And TMZ says, we asked if there was a domestic abuse. She reassured us that there was no domestic abuse taking place. That aired during deliberation. None of us even remember that, but strategically that popped up yesterday on one of the biggest law blogs on social fucking media. And I thought to myself, oh my God. Even if that was a scenario yet again, where because victims do that all the time, where they protect the abuser. How many children do you know are burned by cigarettes, hit by a mom or a dad, not fed, and they still don't want to be taken away from the parent? So that from a young age, that is a victim to protect the abuser, right? Because even though I know that
hold your phone for 1 second. Put on mute. Okay, so for everybody who is logged on, this is the Boys Club with our co-host Monique Slaughter tonight. Typically, because we passed the 1 hour mark, and typically we will let people into the conversation. We're absolutely going to let you in the conversation. So if you have questions, just stand by for a few minutes. We're going to get, because this is it's such a huge case. Amber Heard, Johnny Depp, landmark ruling today, and it fits right in with the conversations we have week over week, which is really getting inside the mind of a man and how relationships play out. So hit that request button on the bottom. We will 100% be coming to you guys. Just know we are past the 1 hour mark, but we're gonna switch over to questions in the next few minutes. Thanks. Go ahead, Monique.
I'm gonna get out of here so you can get your people in. But yeah, I when I saw that video yesterday, I thought to myself, to piggyback off of what Rich just said, now we can't believe anything you fucking say. So even if that were a scenario where You were still at the time trying to protect your abuser because you lied about such major, even if you didn't lie about it all. You adopted an ex best friend. You took her rape story, used it as your own. You were secretly recording the person you claimed to love. And I have also been in that position. My ex-girlfriend did that to me and ruined several relationships where she would stop the recordings, where she chimed in. Recordings I didn't even know existed until I had friends like, bitch, fuck you. And I'm like, what the fuck? Where did this come from? And then I find out about these secret recordings. And I'm like, this is insane. Right? So that secret recording, and then he realizes he's being recorded and he snatches the phone, right? And he says, oh, you got this fucking thing going. And he's visibly intoxicated. That worked against her. Why? Because even if you were trying to protect him and he really was whooping your ass, you told TMZ he wasn't. Everything you say will be used against you in the court of law. And once she started lying, you could have been lying to protect him in that moment, but it backfired and now you're the liar. Where you thought that was going to paint and portray him as abusive, you lied about everything else. So now we don't believe he was whooping your ass. See, right here, you told TMZ he wasn't. Regardless of what we're seeing, him smashing bottles and swiping pastries, snatching your phone, talking about you got this fucking thing going, and anything could have happened to you after that. But you said he never put his hands on you, and maybe he did. Maybe he beat you till you were blue in the gut. I don't know, bitch. But you done lied. You lied about writing. You lied about voluntarily jotting some notes down. I always go back to that because, bitch, you was lying about taking notes that nobody made you take. This ain't class. The fuck? So I'm going to get out of here. Love you, Richie. Sean,
Hold
always
on,
a pleasure.
before you leave, I know you keep mentioning her writing, but every time she cried, not one tear dropped. Go watch the tape. Not one tear dropped.
I saw.
Yeah, crazy.
I'm going to get out of here, but I'm going to send you guys the clips. Love
Don't
y'all.
forget, later.
I won't.
Great conversation. Yo, Rich, you still on mute. You still on mute.
My bad. So Monique is so fucking smart that like she just kind of ties it in, and then having this conversation, I'm gonna tie it into our weekly. People prepare for war in times of peace, bro. And when I say in times of peace, I don't mean like everything is good in you. I'm talking about two people arguing. That's shit that happens in a relationship. That's nothing outside of the ordinary. That's nothing crazy. You don't have to videotape that or audio tape that. You're preparing you're setting up receipts for later on. And she did that part. She did that part. She just forgot. Like, I don't know if it was just careless. I don't know if it's the drugs. I don't know what it is, but she had so many receipts. She couldn't even draw a correlation between her truth and her receipts.
It is. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Number one, she is a compulsive liar. Number two, it is narcissistic personality. She has such a narcissistic personality that she felt like she could convince the world, despite what anybody saw, despite what anybody heard, despite what was actually taped, despite what people had seen. Her narcissism is at such another level that even though her own receipts worked against her, she felt as though I'm the smartest person in the room and everybody is going to believe me. For everybody, please hit that request button. Here are rules before, and Rich, I'm gonna give it back to you, but here are the rules if you're trying to get in on the conversation. If it's your first time tuning into the Boys Club, number one, you must have a strong Wi-Fi or cellular signal. Please make sure that you are in a stable place with a stable connection. Number 2, be in a well-lit location. Well-lit. We do not talk to people in the dark. You also must show your face on camera. We do not let people in and talk to empty screens. And lastly, you must have a question. You must have a question. So although we are spending a lot of time with commentary, please jump in, have a question ready, because your question, number 1, hopefully we can help you, but it can also help somebody else who may not have the opportunity to join the conversation. Rich, go ahead, and then we'll let people in.
Nah, I don't have nothing else to say on it. I'm just every week we have these conversations, and I think that this whole Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing, along with what's going on with Deshaun Watson, I think if y'all apply all the things that we're learning and that are coming to the forefront of these different situations, you can see that just because a narrative is put out there doesn't necessarily mean that that narrative is correct. And we have to start taking things on their merit. Take every situation on its merit and move forward with that situation, because a narrative is one person's version of a story. And if she spoke louder or he spoke louder and to enough people, then that's the narrative that gets out there. And it takes a case like the Johnny Depp case that goes on and on and on and on over time, because he has the money to make sure that everybody comes back for the next 45 days. Now all of a sudden you start poking holes in this original narrative. Then it looks like by the end of this thing, she's crazy. But so many people get caught up in our system because the system is so cut and dry. Oh, you're fucked off. Oh, you're this. Oh, you're that. Eat that. Go sit down. Pay that money. Do that. They don't have the opportunity to sit there for 45 days and make this thing work for them, to where now you can start seeing that the person that brought this about is a narcissistic freaking liar with multiple issues. I'm just saying. That's all I'm saying. This is all these cases. Pay attention. Pay attention. Pay attention. Because this is everyday shit. It just isn't publicized, but it's everyday shit.
Okay, I'm gonna let people in.
Okay.
Oh, something. I think it was somebody named Sexy Somebody.
Oh Lord, sexy something. That's never good.
Okay, we'll go to the next one. Okay, hold on. She's a Vibe. Where you at? She's a Vibe.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, so firstly,
Hold
I want
on.
to say you're right. There was not one tear.
Hold on. Your name and where you coming in from?
Yes, I heard everything you guys were talking about. I followed the entire trial.
Oh. Your name.
Okay,
Your name. And where are you
my
from?
name is Star, and I'm from Queens, New York.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so firstly, I want to say you were absolutely right. There was not one tear that fell from her lying ass eyes. And my question is, do you think that she's petty enough and narcissistic enough to appeal this decision?
Put your phone on mute first. Richie, you want to take that or you want me?
No, I have a real simple answer. No, I don't think she's petty enough, because what we've realized in this court, in this case, she can't erase. And if she's as smart as she says she is, she can't erase the reason she lost. It really was never in doubt. Once she became a non-trustworthy person on the stand, then you basically erase all things, because now this is common knowledge for the world. Like, you know how they always say, don't take the jury pool. Did you watch the news? Do you watch TMZ? Well, these people that we moving forward, this case was such a high profile case that in moving forward, everybody has seen it and everybody knows. So there's no way that she's going to turn this around, because she's going to have to change stories yet again. Now she's going to have to go back, do her due diligence, look at all her notes and all her videos and all her audio, and now she's going to have to make those stories apply to what she's to what she's saying moving forward when she's already lied. This thing was so long and so drawn out that those lies are already out there. There is no more information. So now we have to just move forward. Now it really don't make no sense for you to do nothing else because you don't burn yourself. Everybody knows what it is.
Okay. I think the woman said her name was Shar. Look in the camera. We can.
Star, like a star in the sky.
Okay. Okay, Star. Rich, I absolutely disagree with you. She is 1,000,000% petty enough that she is going to appeal. If you right now, this second, go and look at her statement after she lost, she put a statement out to the world and she made it clear that the big bad, the big bad wolf, Johnny, the big huge star, the man, he won. She was doing this for women. This is a setback for women around the world. She has such a narcissistic personality that she 100% believes her own delusions of grandeur and her lies. And for her, even though, like you said, Rich, the world, it's out there. The world has heard the contradictions. The world has seen you cry with not one tear dropping down your eye. The world has seen you write on paper and you never touch the paper. The world has seen you call everybody else in the world a liar except you. The world has heard tapes that you created where you admit to hitting him and he doesn't admit to hitting you, and you never actually say, oh, yes, you did. You hit me. She's 100% petty enough that this is going to be appealed. Now, appealed does not mean it's going to make it back into court, but she is 1,000,000% going to appeal it.
I agree with that. Okay. Just saying, my understanding is what you meant. Like, are we going to get another one of this? Are we going to get round 3 of this? Do I think she's going to appeal? You're right, Sean. I absolutely think she appealed. I read that note that she wrote, and it definitely set up her moving forward. And for me, the appeal comes, or the opportunity to try to appeal comes now to elongate paying that man his money or figuring out what the next move is for her in that 13 million that she's in the hole. So now she's going to try to procrastinate, play this game, whatever legal beagle games that she can play to get this thing procrastinated and move forward. What's really concerning to me is if she finds someone to take this case. There's a lawyer out there who's looking for any kind of fucking notoriety, any kind of hot TMZ and whatever, C-SPAN and all these different things. Somebody's going to want to take this case. And it's a no-win case because there's no way you can win this case unless you have a whole nother vault full of hidden fucking videos and tapes, which I can't imagine she does. So the world already has access and knows what the fuck happened. So now how do you flip this to go in court? But there's going to be somebody who does it. If this thing does go back to court, that's the sad state of affairs.
Okay, Star. Good question. Thank you. Okay, if you're trying to join the conversation, please hit that request button. It's open now for anybody trying to join the conversation. If you have a question, please join the conversation. Hit the plus button. That is the request button. Let me see who else we got. Linda Padua. Linda Padua. Linda, where you at? Lovin_self. Lovin_self. Where you at?
Somebody said 350,000. No, that man won 13 million.
Judy Howard. Judy Howard, you're up. Please, if you are not ready to get in the conversation, do not hit that plus button.
15. Will, Dr. Will, Freddie, what up? It's 15 million was what he won. She won 2 million back because she countersued. So the total in transaction is 13 million. He's going to walk away with 13 million. Somebody came in and left.
Okay, who we got? Let's see.
So 15 million to Johnny Depp, 2 million to Amber Heard. The number becomes 13 million is what he did.
Team _ more, something like that. Okay, she declined. Why are y'all hitting this button if you're not ready to come in? Please do not hit the request button if you're not willing to come in the conversation. In a second, I'm gonna stop inviting people. We just go back to talk between you and I, Rich.
What? Y'all saying, come on, Rich? What are you talking about? Come on, Rich. This is quite simple. What are you talking about? Bay Cali Love, what are you talking about? Amber got 2 million because she countersued. No, y'all are speculating. Nobody knows how much that man is going to walk away with if she's going to pay. You do realize that civil is just that, civil. It's not criminal. Yep, there goes a divorce settlement for sure.
Hold on, Monique saying add her back.
Yeah.
You back,
Sure.
Monique? Hold on a second. I don't even see SB this week. Where SB at?
I seen her in here. I seen her here at the very beginning. I saw her with
Real quick, I want to say this before I get on this Zoom call. In terms of, I see all the comments about the 2 million. I don't know how it works in the state of Virginia, but I do know that generally when you guys talk about an appeal, right, an appeal is different than a countersuit. When you don't countersue, then you can appeal. I did not countersue my ex. I had to file an appeal at that point. A countersuit, the 2 million, it's and I'm a little unclear, but I'll look it up. Her trial starts in November. Her countersuit against him starts in November. So
hold on, they have a date on?
Yes, when you pose the question, is she going to appeal? She doesn't have to appeal. She can't appeal because she countersued. That 2 million, if depending on how they do it in Virginia, that 2 million could be one of two things. That 2 million could be what she's awarded for her countersuit because it was reported that she was granted the 2 million because his previous before trial, his former attorney made a statement calling her abuse claims a hoax. That's what she won the 2 million for, nothing else. So it could be one of two things. That's what she gets for the countersuit, depending on how they do it in Virginia, or it could be those are just her punitive damages. Punitive damages, compensatory, compensatory payment, whatever you want to call it. It's called, but the legal term is compensatory. It could have been just a compensatory or a punitive damage. But her trial, her countersuit, that's a whole. When I countersue you in the state of California, that's a separate trial. You could win. He could have won today, and 6 months from now, I could have my trial date to go against everything, because you got to remember what worked in Johnny's favor was that he was the petitioner. The burden of proof was on him. He gets the most time to say this isn't true, right? In my case with my ex, I was not the petitioner. Therefore, the judge says to me, if you wanted the burden to be on you, you should have filed your own order. Now, I did not countersue, right? So I had to appeal. So it's a very fine legal line there between countersuits and appeals. And it definitely worked. So for me, I'll use me as an example so that it's kind of easier to understand on a smaller scale. My ex is a felon, did 14 years, was facing 75 to life.
You sure
released during the Shut up. Was released during the pandemic because he'd never had a violent prior, right? He claimed self-defense, and in the state of California, we don't have strong self-defense laws. So he was released because he'd had no violent priors. He'd done 14 years for the crime. They let him go, probation, parole, right? So the judge looks at that and goes, even though I'm ruling in your favor now, you just can't tell because you're not the petitioner, so I'm not taking your testimony because the burden is not on you. I'm also looking at the fact that a convicted felon who's on parole and probation sent himself back to the courtroom. That's going to stick with the judge. This is someone who could lose his freedom because he's on probation and parole, and yet he still brought you back to court. That speaks volumes to me. Even if he's a liar, I got to take that into consideration. So you got to look at it from the judge's perspective. What helped Johnny was the fact that he is richer, he is the bigger star, and statutorily as a man, he is also physically stronger than her. If he wanted to punch her in the eye, that's not a bruise, that's a broken eye socket. If he wanted to sexually assault her with a broken alcohol or liquor bottle, that is not something you go to a doctor 2-3 days later who was a private primary physician who visited you in the privacy of your home 48 hours later, and you don't say that. That's not something you can pee through. That's not something you could sleep through. That's not something you could swim through. That's not something you could sit in an Epsom salt bath through. That's not something you could shower through. That's not something that you're not going to piss blood through. That's not something you just pop an ibuprofen and you are okay through, right? So the judge goes, this very rich, very strong, physical and entertainment character is the one who filed the suit. As an abused woman with a little bit of money, you won $7 million in the divorce settlement. Okay, let's factor in what Aquaman grossed and what you made, and the fact that you got the role because you were Johnny's wife and he negotiated the terms of your deal. So you came out on top financially there. You didn't give the ACLU any of the money that you pledged outside of $100,000 to each foundation. So you're sitting on a nice little nest egg. You could have filed your own order. You could afford to do it, but you didn't do it. I have to, as a judge, look at the fact that this man, who, if he puts his hands on you in any way, even a grab, even if I grab you and I shake you, if Rich grabbed me today because I'm wailing on him, if he doesn't strike me, he bear hugs me from the back, grabs the back of my neck. I got some fingerprints, right? Even as a Black woman who doesn't, whose bruises because I'm melanated are going to take 3-4 days to show up, right? If he grabs me with all his strength, I got them fingerprints on my arm. If he goes to the court and files before I do, I, as a judge, have to take into consideration why this man did that. Because if he really wanted to, bitch, he could have just socked you and knocked you out.
Yo, Moniz, you gotta represent me, man. How much longer before you graduate? Cause you got a client waiting.
I'm fast tracking, so hopefully in the next 2 years.
Please let me know. Like, good Lord.
Listen, and since studying law, I've become very objective. Very objective. And if even I've been studying these cases that they've been handing me, and when I look at my own custody case, right? I think about the fact that it was him who took me to court at my behest, and that ended up working against me. I was the one that said, if you feel like I might meet the love of my life and that nigga's in Nebraska and we don't have anything on paper, take me to court. I'm telling you, my mother took me from my father and ran away. I will never do that. As long as your relationship to my son is not physically, mentally, or verbally abusive, I will never intervene, and I kept my word. Not every woman is built like that. I am for men's rights. Believe it or not.
Nah, that's good to hear. Stay on the line. Stay on the line.
I'm muted.
No. I'm gonna let people in, but I want you to co-host with us. Stay there.
Okay, but I'm gonna mute so y'all don't echo.
Okay. This woman's been
Well,
trying to get in all night.
hi. I'm so sorry, guys. I just came out of work. I'm gonna lower this radio really quick. Can we do that? Hi, my name is Stephanie Cologne. So I don't really know like where to start with this. I just saw your live. I happened to click on it, and I see that you guys are speaking on domestic violence. Moniece, I had actually inboxed you recently when I found out that you was pregnant. I have watched you on Love and Hip Hop. I've seen a lot of the stuff that you have like went through, and I am actually like really proud of you, and I commend you for all your triumph and all the stuff that you are like doing in this world. I just came to try and spread some awareness and also ask you guys if there's anything that can be done for me. I would greatly appreciate that. So basically, I will try and give you guys as much as I can about my story. I met my son's father when I was 16 years old. I was in foster care. He was 21. He took advantage of me at that time. I ended up pregnant at the age of 17. He was abusing me since I met him, and he has been abusing me ever since. I ran away from him when I had gave birth to my son. He was about a month old. We were living in Florida at the time. He put his hands on me while I was holding my baby. And he basically gave me a black eye. He ended up dislocating his shoulder. I'm gonna get out right here really quick. Thank you so much. Have a great night. I'm so sorry, guys. I just came out of work. But yeah, so basically fast forward, because I have no family and I didn't know what to do, I ended up getting back with this man time and time again. Like I said, I met him when I was 17. I got pregnant at 17. I'm so sorry, guys, because I'm out of work and I'm trying to like get home. I'm gonna stop really quick at the corner so that I could like finish talking because there's a lot of people like staring at me. But yeah, so basically, I stood in this toxic relationship, and this year, 2021, my rights were terminated in court. I've been fighting for full custody of my son since 2019, trying to get them to understand the abuse and the things that I was experiencing. Because I was not ever on any of his like paperwork on like the lease of the apartment, I have fully been living with him the whole time. But he constantly would kick me out and things like that. So when I went to court and I filed for full custody and I approached them with the situation, basically they said that until custody was decided, he was going to stay with my son's father because he had an apartment and it would be better for him to be in a home than in a shelter. I tried to convince them and show them the, like abuse, the proof that I have of the things that, he has done and the stuff that he's actually doing now to my child, because I didn't go to court until he started actually putting his hands on my son. My son would have marks and bruises. My son would say that his dad was, hurting him. I'm trying to not get too explicit because it is in court. So I don't want to say there's a lot of other stuff.
Well, let me just stop you there. So first and foremost, there's nothing any of us on this live can do for you. Secondly, what I would strongly suggest, is, and I want you to look at my face because I'm going to talk to you from a lawyer, not a mom's perspective, right?
Yes, ma'am.
There are things, okay, that happen to you as a mom when this happens, like you experience trauma, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and a result of that trauma is you don't sleep, correct?
Sometimes.
And hold on. Sometimes you don't sleep. Sometimes you don't eat, right? That then leads to low blood sugar, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You are working, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You have to take off work if you have to go to therapy, right?
Yes, ma'am. I'm in
and
therapy.
that leads to lost weight. That leads to lost wages, correct? If you miss a day of work, you don't get paid, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so mental health is a big thing where we are societally at this moment. So
yes,
no judge is going to penalize you or punish you for seeking treatment. I'm going to tell you that with a fact, no matter what state you're in. Secondly, I'm going to suggest that you find every free resource as a mother You're going to have to stop focusing on what happened in the relationship with you, because I'll tell you one thing, state to state, nationwide, what judges don't like are family law cases. They feel that both mom and dad, whether they were married or not, are bitter towards each other, and that their feelings are the ones that matter, and they automatically assume neither parent is considering the child. Because oftentimes you guys will get in, mothers and fathers get into court and they say, he did this to me, she did this to me, he said that to me, he said this to
Right.
me, she said this to me. It's all about he said, she said about the
Right.
adult. There's no care or concern for the child. You're
Right. And
going to
at this
have to step
moment though,
outside of
I'm sorry
yourself.
to cut you off really quick, just because I know that, you know, like there is a lot of that. I am not in that place at all.
That's okay. You don't have to be. The judge, I'm telling you what, if I'm a judge, if I'm a lawyer, right? I don't want to hear what happened to you. And as fucked up as that is, this is the harsh reality in family law and custody cases, in DV cases. I don't care what happened to you. I don't care what happened to him. I care about the child. And so when I have to sit here on the bench and listen to you guys tell me what you said about each other, what you did to each other, I really don't care. I don't care who makes the most money. I don't care who has a car. I care. I'm supposed to care about the well-being and the development of a minor child who can't speak for themselves.
Right.
So you're going to
Now,
have to step
if
outside of yourself. You're going to have to step outside of yourself, and it can never again be about you. Every
right. No,
time
no.
you
When I
go
was
in,
speaking to you as of right now, it was just to give you an idea of like what exactly had happened.
I
But
understand,
at
but you
this
see what you just
moment,
did? Do you see what you just did? And this was a hard lesson for me to learn. I'm not dogging you. I'm not against you. I'm
right,
completely for you. If I'm a judge, I was in the middle of talking, right? You
right,
see what just happened? I don't care. Oh, she must be combative. She must be this. She must be that. I'm telling you, ma'am, this is not me. This is not someone you looked up to. I'm a legal representative of the court, of the system at this point. And I'm telling you, remove yourself, insert child, and everything you say moving forward. And this is the only advice I can give you from experience and from studying law.
So now this is my, you know, question. So now if those are things that I am doing, right, and I'm telling them that, you know, it is unhealthy for my child to be in the living conditions that he's in. It is unhealthy for my child to be getting hands put on him. It is unhealthy for him to be keeping him away from his mom, which are the things that I am doing, because I have not seen my child in going almost on a year. This is the
Have
first
you
time that I've
asked
been
for
without my
visitation at a
child.
have you
I'm
asked
sorry.
for visitation at a supervised visitation at any
Yes,
point?
ma'am. And he is denying all of it, and they are not penalizing him at all. I have rights to my child, and he is denying it. I just got
Well,
able to
you
speak to
gotta go
him
back to the
over the
court.
phone. I'm so sorry because I'm outside. What was
I
that
get
again,
it,
honey?
but you got to go back to the court and file contempt. There's literally nothing in your state, and I'll look it up for you, but I know that in the state of California, when there's any type of court order, even if that's just you have supervised visitation, if he doesn't comply, that's contempt and kidnapping. So it's really nothing Rich, Sean, or I really can do. You've got to just be extremely diligent. And now speaking to you as a mother, I know that that's hard, and I know it's painful, and I understand and respect your trauma, and I want to validate your feelings, and I believe you. But now the fight for your son instead of yourself is where you're going to have to forge ultimate, what Rich referred to earlier as the art of war. Everything is a receipt. Everything is to help you. As long as you're being honest, those things won't work against you. They'll work in your favor. You just can't stalk. Because if I'm a judge, if I'm a lawyer that's going to take your case, what have you done? So you're telling me that he's not complying with the supervised visitation, but what have you done to make sure that a judge forced him to comply? I haven't heard any of that.
Right. Okay.
So
So
I wish
when
you
it
the
comes
best
to
of
that,
luck.
is that I haven't been fully like knowledgeable on what I can and cannot do.
Sean,
Speaking
Rich,
to
feel
them
free to
in
tap in
court.
at any time. I'm going to mute my mic to avoid the echo.
Hold on. Sorry. Thank you so much. But yeah, so basically I have put in violations for the order of visitation. I have hired new lawyers because the old lawyers weren't giving me any intel on like what I can do moving forward because of his violations. So the next thing that I'm going to do is like what you said, the whole filing for contempt, because I didn't know that that was something that I also could do. Like I said, I've been trying to get aware of the laws in the city and, all the stuff that is actually like pertaining to my case. But it's really hard with trying to figure out like work and staying, trying to get my mental health back on track, because I am suffering from depression not being with my child. You know what I mean? But I have also spoken,
Rich, you've
to
been
the
through
courthouse
custody
about
battles. Chime
what
in.
he's doing during the court dates. They literally continue to adjourn the court dates. They give us 30-minute sessions. It's virtual right now. Like, they are not listening to me at all. I literally, I feel helpless. I don't know what to do. Like, I really don't know what to do. They keep telling him that he has to comply, and every time we leave the court, it's the same exact thing. He hasn't been complying. And then also, as of right now, there's an order in the court that I am not even allowed to call 911 for my child, to make sure that he is okay. If I post anything on social media, I'm going to be arrested. So it's really hard right now for me to figure out how to get the exact, like, help and be able to speak out on what exactly is happening, when they're like kind of restricting me in every aspect.
Hey, Stephanie,
Yes,
can you hear me? Can you hear me?
yes.
Okay, I know you're outside, but Moniece said a lot of things that I want you to really go back and listen to. So in my bio, it's our YouTube channel. Please hit the YouTube channel and subscribe to it. This episode is going to be up tomorrow, and I really want you to go back and listen to your part, because there were a lot of things you probably missed because you're trying to get your story in and you're also outside. So I think if you
Right.
go back and listen, she offered a lot of things that you can do to help jumpstart you and
Okay.
at least get you in the right direction to get your
Yes,
child back.
and I appreciate you guys so much. Can you give me the name of the YouTube channel again so I can write it down?
Just look in my bio. Just look in the bio of my Instagram.
Okay, thank you so
And
much, and
just
I
so you
really
know,
appreciate you guys. Like I said, I just wanted to ask as much as I could on what could be done. I don't, really want or need anything. I have a lawyer currently right now. It's just I don't really know what to do. I've been struggling with this since September of last year. It's about to be a year, and this is the first time that I've been without my child in this way. And I'm just really hurting, and I'm lost in thoughts and how to get this situated. So thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate you guys taking out the time to speak to me. I'm definitely gonna do that. Moniece, I appreciate you so much. It was nice speaking to you guys. Congratulations on your pregnancy, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.
you have a good night, girl.
Bye.
And our prayers are with you, seriously. You,
What was that?
our support and our prayers are with you. We pray you get your child back.
Thank you. Thank you. I know I will. Thank you.
You will. Keep fighting. Okay,
Moniece,
we're
what
going to
am
let somebody else into the conversation. Go ahead,
Moniece,
Rick.
what am I missing? Why are you getting all these congratulatory shout outs?
Rich, knock it off. Go ahead, Sean. We're not here to talk about my body or my pregnancy or anything having to do with that. I don't have
Your
anything
rich face.
to say, and nobody else needs to talk about it either. Let's move on.
All right, y'all saw my food and stuff. Hi, everyone. I have a question. Sean, I'm the person that you respond to on my other page, though.
Okay.
Okay, I've been battling custody issues with my daughter's father,
Who are
Chrissy
you?
from Philly.
Who?
Chrissy from Philly. I'm
Okay.
sorry,
Okay.
Chrissy from Philly. So I right now lost custody of my daughter. I've been fighting for the past 8 years with the courts and everything in regards to my father's. And
We can't hear you at all.
either.
Yeah, she had a terrible signal. Okay, if you're trying to get in on this conversation, please hit the request button. We're gonna be on for a little while longer. What do we have? We'll try to get Chrissy from Philly back in. Chrissy, please try to move to a location where you have a good cellular system
Okay.
signal.
I don't know what happened. So right now I've been battling that I found out my daughter was addicted to porn at the age of 10, but I found out that she's been addicted to porn since she was 8. I've been conversating with her. Well, I've been sending her father messages about this stuff. So and now it escalated to where now my daughter just turned 13 last month, and I found out recently, like this month, that last month, that she sent videos of her masturbating, giving out my address.
We can't hear.
What? Here.
Your Wi-Fi is bad, beloved. We can't.
I'm not even.
We're wasting our time with this. Like the Wi-Fi is horrible. She got to get that Wi-Fi together.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Chrissy. We can't understand a word you're saying.
Damn, I wanted to hear that story. It was getting shit.
Yeah, I will say this in terms of the part that we could hear. I will say that there's a difference in children exploring, which is natural, especially in this society. I'm not going to go into detail. Again, I'm in therapy, so I'm learning how to censor what I share, especially about my child. But I will say that it's natural for children to get to an age to where they become curious. They have so much access now. Not every parent has the same sensory or, the same feeling of responsibility to censor their children from adult content. So kids do hear a lot at school, and sometimes it's not them being fast or, too advanced. It's literally, I heard this at school. I don't know what this is. I'm looking at this. I'm figuring it out. We see all these different agendas being pushed now in these cartoons where now the Disney is re-releasing and doing reboots and the characters is gay and bisexual and lesbian, and so kids get confused especially if that's not something that's being taught in the home. So I was very interested to hear what she had to say, because a part of that is getting older and just exploring based off of the access and what we hear in our environments, and part of that is a lack of, and this was hard for me to accept as a mom, sometimes I'm checked out. I'm tired. I do this shit all by myself, and when I'm not on my son's head, things can happen.
Hold. In every thought, Mo. Who we got?
Hi, you guys can see me?
No.
Can you go somewhere where there's some light?
Oh, well, I mean, I am black, so okay.
You ain't that black.
Can you see me now?
Yes. What's your name?
I'm Hazel.
Nice to meet you, Hazel. Where you calling from?
Virginia.
Okay. Go ahead.
I just kind of hopped on here. I found the conversations interesting, especially as we get into the conversations of children. Just to preface, I'm a 15-year social worker. So a lot of these conversations that are being had in regards to children, it's concerning that the lack of information a lot of these parents have. Y'all have to reach out to your local DSS. Yes, Hazel, about the E. And y'all have
What is that? What does DSS mean?
Local Department of Social Services.
Okay.
So if children have a case in court, 9 times out of 10, that means that they have gone through the DSS department. So whatever county you're in, there will be a local DSS. That means that you will be assigned to a caseworker. Now, whether it's your child who's assigned to the caseworker or whether it's you specifically are assigned to a caseworker. Now, each county has different names for their DSS offices, so it might not actually read DSS. It might read your county's initials and then SS after that. But if your child is in the system or if you're going through court, it has to do with DSS. You have a caseworker who can provide you with resources as to who you can talk to about these things. If you are dealing with a custody issue, 9 times out of 10, your child will probably have a guardian ad litem, which means that somebody is assigned by the courts to kind of be the middleman to protect your child. So that way, if there's something serious that happens, that means that they can kind of step in and say, okay, this is not safe. You know, we need to figure something else out. So a lot of the parents on here who are dealing with these issues with the courts and the families really need to be finding out who those people are, especially DSS, because that is a huge resource for any county that you're in. They're going to have a lot of free resources, parenting resources, mental health resources. And that's the other thing. A lot of people within our community fail to get the mental health services that they need. Go to therapy. Therapy is so important. It's so crucial for people to kind of understand and navigate their feelings. So the young lady before who was speaking and who was walking on the street, when you are dealing with,
this was specifically for her.
you process everything that's going on because you have so many emotions. And so if you can't process those things appropriately, you're going to be a chaotic mess. So it's important that people are able to go to therapy and to speak to people so that they can understand their own emotions and they're more controlled when they go into situations like having to deal with court.
So people are saying that therapy isn't free. Are you saying that it is free if you go through the proper channels within your system?
If you reach out to your local DSS and say, hey, I'm low income, or hey, I don't have a whole lot, what are my options for resources? They can help you.
I had to do that. And it becomes a little disheartening because sometimes the wait for the free mental health resources can be up to 6 months.
Right. Well, I will tell you that now with the way that COVID has spiraled the mental health crisis, there's a lot that's being done in order to, it's kind of a blessing in disguise, in order to get the mental health resources for people that they need, because so many more people are now than they used to. So things are a little bit different compared to, let's say, a few years ago.
Yeah, when that happened to me, it was 2008, 2012. My son was born 2010, so I'm actually lying. It was end of 2011, so 11 years ago. It was a 6-month wait for free resources,
right,
that were given to me through out here it's DCFS, Department of Children and Family Services, and that was really sad for me. I was like, what the fuck? I'm never going to win in court.
And honestly, I understand. I see some comments of people saying, you know, the system is messed up and screw the system. I get it. Yeah, our systems are messed up. Our school systems, our prison system, everything is a mess. But at the end of the day, there are people out there who are working, and there are people out there who want to help. There are people out there who will do it for free. It's just a matter of finding those people and giving up when there's so many other factors that go against you. It's just not an option at some point. At some point, as adults, you have to take the bull by the horns. And I'm speaking from personal experience. And just do everything you can to get to the point that you need to get to. But therapy is so unspoken about within our community. And I think it's important that people need to really tap into that more.
Hazel, what is your Instagram address? Because the young lady who was on here earlier, Miss Stephanie, who was walking on the streets, I would love for her to DM you if you don't mind, because even if you can point her in the right direction, because it sounded like she was really going through it. She's obviously extremely stressed. So anything that you can do to help her, it will be greatly appreciated. Stephanie, I hope you're still listening or you see this tomorrow. But what's your handle, Hazel?
It's Hazel Paris with 2 S's at the end.
At Hazel Paris.
HAZELPARISS.
I'll drop it. Yeah. And I put it in the comments. Yeah, I mean, I can, you know, look up. A lot of people don't know what their local DSS agency is. So that's something that I'm, you know, willing to help her with. And just any advice in terms of mental health. I'm going to be starting as a full-time social work case manager in a hospital. And, you know, people feel scared to get help, but it's not scary. Once you get it, it can change your life. And it may seem like, you know, you might have to go through a couple of therapists. That's one thing I tell people. If you find somebody and it's not working, move on to another one. Find the one that fits for you. But don't go through your traumas and don't keep holding on to things that you can't change at this point. You just have to move forward and kind of rebuild your life the way that you want it to be, right?
Thank you so much, Miss Hazel. We appreciate you. Thank you very much. Great information.
Bye. Nice to meet you all.
Hazel, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Okay.
I feel like
we
we
are literally,
digressed. I want to hear more Johnny Depp and Amber opinions.
we're literally at the 2-hour mark. I'm gonna try to put some quick callers in,
Can
and
we
then we're out of
find
here.
somebody who disagrees with the verdict? Who disagreed with the verdict? Because I have been waiting to argue with a motherfucker who don't agree all day. Who disagrees? What woman disagreed with the verdict? Because that's also an interesting perspective to hear. Even with all of the evidence that was presented that worked against her, I saw people on the internet like, oh, this is horrible for women. Like, what? How?
Hi guys, SB in the building.
What up, SB?
Hey, so I didn't really have a question. I just wanted to shout out the Boys Club because I am loving the community that y'all are building. I've been around since the beginning, which was the end of last year. And tonight, y'all have been super dope. The young lady that was walking through the street telling her story that really pulled at my
Yo,
heartstrings.
I
But
love y'all. I gotta go. Zoom call time.
Moniece with her advice, and then the other young lady that just came in with the DSF information, that was just super dope. I love it. Shout out to the Boys Club.
Thanks,
That's
SB.
all I wanted to say. Shout out to the Boys Club. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling tonight. I'm really feeling tonight.
Honestly, SB, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, Rich, I'm sure you got to be saying the same thing. This is a very
She got what?
different.
She got another hairstyle?
No. It's a very different conversation tonight. The Boys Club is evolving week over week, but it is really intelligent, grown, informative conversation that we're having. And you know, shout out to all of the contributors, Monique, and just everybody who, you know, they're putting themselves on the line and calling in. These are some heavy calls we're having.
Yep, definitely. And I'm just, like I said, I'm definitely feeling tonight. I'm excited about the community that's being built because, like, you know, ratchetness gets all of the ratings and all of the views in the world. So it just warms me up that this positive platform is really getting the views and the attention that it deserves. You know, like, you guys are not out here, you know, disrespecting women and saying malicious things and whatnot. Y'all are really, you know, giving some solid advice to the people. So that's what's up.
That's next week's conversation. We start doing our best Kevin Samuels.
Okay. Me no Rich. I hosted a party that Peter Guns was at over the weekend in Queens. I got to meet your boy Peter.
Yeah. That's at a cigar lounge, right?
Yeah, in Queens. Yep.
Yeah.
Y'all really gonna do this? Are y'all really gonna do this now?
I know. SB has no regard for the SB has no regard for the Boys Club in this platform. She come on here.
Goodbye, SB. All right, we're gonna try one more. We're gonna try one more caller. We're gonna try to get Chrissy back in. Chrissy, I hope you have a good Wi-Fi signal. If not, we're gonna wrap it up for the evening.
Okay, so back to what I was saying. I lost custody because I found out she's been sending videos of her masturbating, new videos, giving out my address and everything. And stuff just started escalating. She started lying to me about her being on the phone. The incident that escalated to where it was just a lot of things going on was I went to work and I happened to check in on the camera and heard that she was on the phone with some boy at 12:30 in the morning. So when I came home, she didn't know I was home actually, but when I came in the house, it just escalated. I walked away from her. She jumped on my back and we got to fighting. I tried to get her 302, no help from 302, getting her 302. I took her to the hospital, tried to get her 302, no help. It escalated to where now is my freedom or I just completely walk away from her because her father has not yet tried to help anything or tried to be there. My daughter been in counseling since October 2014. And since we are going to court for the child support increase, now he wants to try to act like he's involved. Now I have DHS involved. Now they want to act like they want to put her in a sex prevention program when they knew about a lot of stuff about her sexual activities back in December of 2020. I'm sorry, I'm just so overwhelmed with this. So now they don't want to return her because of the simple fact that I had put my hands on her. They claiming that I abused her, but despite I showed the marks on me that she has put on me, and despite I told them that she jumped on my back and attacked me, they don't want to hear that. So father now put a PFA against me. I don't know if y'all know what a PFA is, but it's a protection from abuse. And now they gave my daughter's father custody of my daughter. My daughter was touched by somebody in her school. When she was around 8, 9 years old, she was touched by someone in her school. I sued the school. The school actually tried to use the father against me in order to win their side of the case. But I ended up winning the case with the school, transfer her out into another school. I don't even know what to say. I'm just so overwhelmed and so frustrated with my situation.
So now okay. So now we have like a little bit of background. What's the question? Because we want to be able to help. I just want to give you the right direction if we have it, or if somebody in the chat has it.
I was actually looking for, since Monique was on and was talking about some things, I was trying to see if she can help me of how to do it. I do have a bad temper, like she was speaking upon with the Johnny Depp case. My daughter's father knows how to push my buttons, and I'm not the type of person where if you say something and it's wrong, that I'm just going to say, okay, and keep it moving. I'm going to speak upon it. So he knows how to push my buttons, and this is how he's been winning in court. No matter what evidence I bring in court, it gets pushed to the side.
All right, can
Text
I
messages
play
of me.
devil's advocate?
Sure.
You've discovered that your 10-year-old baby is addicted to porn, been addicted to porn for 2 years. You were on the phone and you were on the line on the camera in your house at that time with your baby in said house on the phone with a boy. You come home from work, you get into it with your baby, you guys go back and forth, she jumps on your back. The cops come, everything goes left, they take your baby away, they put her in DF or PFA, protection from abuse, PFA, right?
No. I took her to the hospital to try to get her 302.
Okay.
But the hospital only focused on me putting my hands on her.
Okay.
They never focused on the bigger picture, which was her wanting to be sexually active and giving out my phone number.
Okay.
Now,
But you
I
do
brought my,
understand.
they
But you
let
do
me,
understand that in the eyes of the law, that's the bigger issue for them in that moment. The issue for them in that moment isn't what precipitated all the hostility and the craziness. The issue for them is that they are protecting a child from what they deem to be an abusive relationship. A mother and her daughter got the scrapping in the house, and the daughter jumped on your back. So when you take her to the hospital and you're getting her help, and now you want to get her in 302, all of that other stuff doesn't mean as much to the cops as the actual abuse. Because in their eyes, the rest of
well,
that stuff is stuff that you need to handle as a mother. But the abuse is what will get your child taken out the house.
well, it's not even the cops because the day before that, she ran away, and the cops had told her she wanted to go to her father's house. Her father doesn't like me at all. So if I say she can't have an iPhone, he will buy her an iPhone. And this is why she doesn't like the things that I say or do, because as long as she's over her father's house, she can do a lot of things. She can get on social media. At my house, you're not allowed on social media. Her dad talks negative about me to her, and this is why my daughter has
I'm going to
changed.
intervene really quickly. I'm going to intervene really. I was 30 minutes late for my Zoom, and now everybody needs me to wait an hour. But I'm going to give you, because I'm learning to be objective, I'm going to give you a perspective that you might not like. And this is not going to be, it's going to be dual. It's going to be a legal perspective and a personal perspective as a mother, right, of a child who goes
Hmm.
between homes. Manipulation
Hmm.
is what you're describing when you say, if I say she can't have an
Hmm.
iPhone, dad's going to buy the iPhone. That's
Hmm.
manipulation. And as
Hmm.
painful as it is, what I'm learning is we've got to take accountability. My son is spoiled because I did that. My son is spoiled because I felt that because I had lost custody for a year and a half, I had to be the fun mom. I had to be the fun parent. I had to be the parent that couldn't issue a disciplinary action because how dare I? He was taken from me, so I must be shitty. And that's not the case. And so now I've raised, let me rephrase this because I'm learning again how to protect my child. If I don't adjust my parenting style, given genetic predisposition and environmental influences or lack thereof, I would be raising a monster. I would be raising a child who knows if my mom says no, I can go to my dad, regardless of the beef between the two of them. I'm not privy to that. All I know is one says no, and when I don't get my way, I can go over here and I can get my way. That child learned to manipulate by one of you. And if he wasn't in the picture until the PFA process, after she jumped on you and you fought and you guys had a physical interaction, the judge looks at that. Now, this is me talking to you from a legal perspective. The judge looks at that and goes, you saw her on your camera, like Rich said, in said home at 12:30 a.m. Why was she left alone at 12:30 a.m. before the age of 18? If dad has not been active in her life until the PFA process, you are then considered the primary. She's been with you this whole time. So this behavior, regardless of school influences, what my son hears on the playground, what he hears his other friends talking about, what he hears in the gaming headphones, when he's on the PlayStation, what he sees on Instagram, because he does have an Instagram, yet I do run it and monitor it. I go through them DMs every fucking night and every fucking morning when he goes to school. And it ain't nothing in them DMs that I don't know about that I haven't told his father about. I get it. I'm blessed. My son's father, despite our issues, has always been in his life. From delivery room until today, I understand that that's not the reality for most Black women. I get it. I'm not punishing you. I'm not against you. I'm simply saying accountability is going to get you way further than you even realize, whether you think or feel you are right or not. At the end of the day, what matters ultimately in the judicial system when it comes to children, you got to understand the system already don't like us. The healthcare system don't like us. The judicial system don't like us. Right? They don't like us. So you're already fighting against the grain, even if you did do everything right. And Rich, I'm going to throw you under the motherfucking bus. I know Rich has done what he's supposed to do. I know it for a fact. I know Rich has been taken advantage of in the child custody department. I know it for a fact. At some point, though, and I know that when it comes to his one and only child custody situation, I know he been duped because he's a Black man at the end of the fucking day. I know that girl's mama ain't no Rich should be raising that baby. I know that. Rich know that. And if the system would actually listen, they would know that.
Yeah, that's the problem. The
But there
system
comes a
not
point
listening.
when you said you're at a crossroad now where you have to walk away. Again, I'm going to throw Rich under the bus. I know Rich loves all his children. Even the one that's the co-parenting relationship has been the most trying. I know for a fact Rich loved that girl. Right? He got to a point, though, where he had to say, I can't contend with what's going on the other side. I'm going to have to wash my hands, but I'm always here. When my child wants me, I'm here. When she needs me, I'm here. So you are at a crossroad. We Black. You're not going to jump on my back as a Black mama, and I'm not going to whoop your motherfucking ass. It's not going to happen. Right? And to us in this live, that's just a cultural thing. But to the system, that's abuse. That's child neglect. That's child endangerment. So your hands are kind of tied. You either gonna have to walk away and pray for the best. And when the time comes, every child, now remove Rich, I'm gonna talk about myself. Every child sees their parent, their loved ones for who they are. My son got to a crossroad with his father and I'm not gonna say which parent, whether it was me or his dad, but my son himself laid down an ultimatum at 10 years old. That was the tide that turned the co-parenting tables. Because it was no longer mom versus dad. It was child saying, I see and I hear and I don't like, and this is what I need. This is what I want. And as the innocent party, both his father and I, neither one of us had to say anything to each other. We had a moral obligation to the child that didn't get to pick us, didn't get to pick our dysfunction, didn't get to pick what life he was going to be born into. We both at that point, it was an unspoken understanding that this baby. So punching holes in the walls and the doors, that's his way of saying I'm hurt. Now we gonna stop that. We gonna have to come together. At the end of the day, you left your daughter unattended. I get it. We get caught up in the daily hustle trying to provide for our kids. This is not a system that is set up. Like Rich and Sean were saying, this ain't a system that's set up to help us prevail, win, succeed. But at what point do we stop and say, the Jews had the Holocaust, the Native Americans had the battle at the genocide at Battle Creek or whatever the fuck it was, Armenians had the genocide. How long are Black people gonna hold on to slavery before they do what the Jews did and the Native Americans did? Because the Native Americans, they get reparations. The Jews get reparations. The Armenians get what they get. We the only motherfuckers that don't get nothing. And as a result, we ourselves have perpetuated this dysfunctional system. You left your child unattended. The court, whether you're justified or not, is never going to look at you like they look at the white woman. She was doing what she had to do to provide. This child is just a product of the environment. That's not going to be the case for you. It is what it is. Live, you learn. You wash your hands or you don't. And if you don't, That's not. Well, I don't know what to say. Rich, I don't know if Rich know what to say. I don't know if Sean know what to say. I know I the fuck don't know what to say. You gonna have to just buck up and nut up and saddle up and do what you gotta do. And it's a tough spot to be in as a mom. You want your daughter to know you're fighting for her, you love her, you didn't just throw her by the wayside. But at the same time, it's like dealing with an addict. I can't help you. I love you. I birthed you. You are an extension of me. But if you refuse the help the only help I know how to give you, I don't know what else to do at this point. But if you ever need me, I'm there. She's at that age where that can be a conversation. There's no excuse on your behalf as a parent.
Hold on, guys. I'm gonna jump in here because we're about to end it. Chrissy, do you have and stay there, Monique, because you just had so much dope stuff to say. But before we end it, Chrissy, do you have anything that you want to comment on before we end
I,
this live?
I was going to say that the court has ordered us to do co-parenting since December. Father failed to do it, and the court seems like they don't care about nothing when I address these issues. It took me 3 years to get the courts for him to sign documentation for our daughter to have counseling. So these are the games that he plays when we go to court, and it's frustrating because my daughter yearning for her father's attention the way that I gave her the attention, the love, the nurturing, and stuff like that. I went to from preschool to 4th grade. Any event at her school, anything that she had to go, because my daughter went to a predominantly Asian school. So they have different types of activities monthly for the students. And through my sick, pain, surgeries, anything else, I went to those things because of my daughter. Her father was never available. He always preached to her, oh, I got to work. I have something to do. Oh, I work so much. And she's yearning for his attention, and it's like she's taking it out on me because of that. She wrote me a letter on Mother's Day stating how she's sorry for what she has been taking me through. She's sorry for hitting me. She's sorry for taking everything out on me. She doesn't know why she takes everything out on me. She tried changing, but she's so stuck in her ways and stuff like that. And it's like frustrating because I'm only...
This is a mental illness. And I don't do this. I hate when my mama. I hate when my mama do it. But sis, I got to tell you, this goes beyond the court system. And I'm gonna just I'm gonna ask Sean to actually click you out. And here's why. Sean, you got to end this, and I'm gonna tell you why. When it comes to children, and especially with what you're dealing with, this ain't the platform. We don't need to hear this. This shouldn't be we should never have known this. And I'm not downing you. I can genuinely feel your energy, and I feel like you are at a place where you're really just desperate to mend fences and be there for your child. But this is deep. This is too deep, way too deep. And I do not believe in taking children to therapy and giving them medication and diagnoses. But what you're describing, writing a letter on Mother's Day, apologizing, vying for the dad's attention, sending videos, masturbating, you watching her on the cameras at 12:30 in the morning and her being on the phone with a boy. Babies deserve privacy. And this ain't for us to know. And I got to, as a mom, with the ultimate respect for you and empathy for you. I really do empathize. Sympathy and empathy are different. I empathize, but Sean, I cannot participate. I can't be on here. I can't listen to this. This is deeper. This is way deeper than a judicial system. That baby needs a different type of help and a different level of protection and a different level of privacy. This ain't this. This ain't the forum for that. This ain't nothing we could give advice for, resources to. This is on another level, babe, and I promise you, I know I can't even say I feel your pain, because I don't. So I'm not even going to do that to you. But I am going to look out for you, and it might not feel like it. And I really hope that people in the comments are also empathetic and are not rude to her. Go on and click that out, because that ain't it. This ain't it. We can't do this. We can't do this.
We're gonna end it here now anyway. For anybody who is, you know, just joining us,
Thank
or
you.
this is your first time tuning into the Boys Club, we do a live every single Wednesday right here. Rich Dollars, Sean Prez, we are the Boys Club, and we have very in-depth, unfiltered discussions about relationships coming from a man's point of view. So thanks to everybody who joined in. Please click on to my bio. Our YouTube page is there. This episode will be up tomorrow on YouTube, and it will also be on all streaming platforms, Spotify, Google Play, iTunes, so forth and so on. Thank you so much. Richie Dollars, you have the last word. Thank you so much, Monique, for all of your commentary tonight as well.
So once again, you know, basically Sean said it all. Since we still have you in the room, I'll leave you with this parting words, and we can log off on this. Accountability. I've heard you talk about so much during your story that I think that you're losing the sight of the bigger picture, which is the accountability. Like when I was running through the things that you were saying earlier, they were based on your story. So with that being said, the end result is a result of what happened, and you gave him that power. You gave him that power to be able to step in and intervene and do the things that he's doing now. You allowed that stuff to happen by the fight, by all the things that were going on. So with that being said, all I'm gonna say is this, and we can leave it at this, and maybe you call next week and we can have another discussion. Take accountability for your own actions. Before you start blaming the whole infrastructure and everything around you, look in the mirror and understand why you're here in the first place. You opened that door with the abuse. So it doesn't matter what happens when you get to the place and you get to the DFA and everything is going on and the cops are there and they don't care about the things that are going on in your house or the telephone conversations. What was the major issue with what happened was there was a child abuse scenario. They have to act on that. And at that point, the situation has now you've lost control of that situation. So now when you lose control of that situation and the man intervenes because you have a court hearing coming up and he doesn't want to pay the additional child support and he's going to do the bullshit that he wants to do to keep you out, and now he's got access to the daughter and now he's daring, like, you can't get mad at that. You open the door for that. You need to retreat, sit down, figure out a way to strategize, to do the things that you need to do to get your daughter back. Stop blaming all the things that are going on in your life at this moment, all the things that you're blaming everybody else for and not taking any accountability for your own self. You're home, that baby's home at 12:30. That's how everything started. You're at work, she's at home, 12:30 a.m. You're watching her on the house camera, the phone camera, and that's how the things parlay. Look at the situation for what it is. And that's for everybody in every scenario. You can go and you can find ways to blame everybody else. But if you're self-aware enough and you look in the mirror, you can see exactly why this shit happened. And I'm not saying he's right for what he's doing. I'm not saying your daughter doesn't need help. I'm not saying any of those things. All I'm saying is that what precipitated that situation was a fucked up thing, and it was an abusive situation that you had to take your daughter to the hospital, and shit spiraled from there. You lost control of that situation, and boom, here we are. Here we are. So you all Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Me and Sean Prez, we are the Boys Club. Every Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. Same bad time, same bad channel. Sean, hit me off.
Peace and love, y'all.